We will deal with each and every member that has been found to be in the wrong or that has been implicated within this particular process that is currently unfolding.
This is corridor rumors that Lieutenant General Dimpane, Ms. Dimpane, was friendly with Mr. Perumal, and so she was being cooperative in the investigation.
But from where you are sitting, is there any truth to these allegations?
No.
One thing about the testimony of Prosecutor Drushantha Ramsamy is that she exposed the systematic problems in the IDAC and specifically made us to see how corrupt Advocate Andrea Johnson and investigator or Chief Perumal were in the IDAC. But that's the thing, her testimony, it cuts through many departments and exposes how those people interfered and were in cahoots with the IDAC. She spoke about the ministers, she spoke about the members of parliament, such as Ian Cameroon, as well as the acting National Police Commissioner, which is Dimpane. But their response comes across as rather some kind of like an attack. And it makes me wonder if whether there's some attack that is coming her way, because we know that when you touch such people, they don't let you go, they come for you guns blazing. Let us talk about what has been happening right now, the recent updates regarding these people that were implicated. So we know that after that testimony of this amazing prosecutor, a lot has been revealed, a lot.
I want to make it clear that Advocate Johnson and Mr. Perumal launched an orchestrated attack on General Masemola and General Khumalo using IDAC's powerful investigation tools.
One of the things that have been worrying me is the reception or the response from the acting National Police Commissioner, as well as Ian Cameroon, who's the Member of Parliament, and specifically the responses from the Office of the Minister of Police at that time, it was Mchunu. Their responses is what is worrying me and makes me feel like high chances Advocate Drushantha Ramsamy is not safe at all. And for you to understand what are these responses that I'm talking about and why do I feel like she's being attacked, it's very important for you to understand her testimony and how important the testimony was and the things that she revealed, which is the reason why I believe that high chances she is not safe. The public has obviously wished her well and has thanked her. A lot of people were thanking her for her service. She's like our female Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, because she came and she vomited everything. She spoke about all the corruption that is happening. She came with all the receipts. And that is one of the things that I loved about Prosecutor Ramsamy, is that she came with all the proof, the recordings, the documentation, everything that is necessary for you to actually understand what is happening in the IDAC. So let us first start with some of the things that she has said in the testimony at the Madlanga Commission, because I think it's a very important basis for you to understand why my worry and why do I feel like you should worry about his safety. We know that she testified extensively about Project Diversion and Project Wellness, and that those two projects were the projects that Advocate Andrea Johnson and Perumal had at their heads. They had these two projects and they were very important. But that's the thing. Those projects were specifically targeting specific individuals. It was sort of like, the way she called it, an orchestrated attack against General Fani Masemola as well as General Dumisani Khumalo. They just wanted to attack them and find anything so that they can, dismantle or take them to prison, incarcerate them, whatever that they wanted against them. And it looks like they were willing to go through any lengths for them to actually get them inside the dock and inside the jails. And the reason why that is the case is still very much unclear, because one can assume that it's because of General Khan, it's because of the husband of Andrea Johnson, it's because of them trying to capture crime intelligence, it's whatever reasons. But you might think that this whole thing starts with just Andrea Johnson and Perumal. When you look at it, it's just a branch that has just a tree that has different branches. A lot of people are influencing these two individuals and are making sure that these two individuals are making certain decisions so that they can be able to benefit and clamp down these two individuals, which is Masemola and Dumisani Khumalo. And they were willing to go through any levels and any lengths for them to actually get what they want.
Ms. Ramsamy, because she's not done with her testimony, I'll say she will testify that during that conversation when she asked you what she had done to Advocate Johnson, your response was that her problem started when Ms. Ramsamy was disagreeing with Chief Perumal, and that Advocate Johnson listens to Chief Perumal. Is that the situation that was at the office and that you were?
Yes.
And that was the known situation at the office?
Yes.
And they had all the protection that they were looking for. The NPA at that time, who was Shamila Matoyi, the head of the NPA, she was one of the people that were protecting Andrea Johnson. So they had all the shielding that they were looking for. And not just Andrea Johnson, they were also using the laws like Section 28 of the National Prosecution Authorities Act. They were also overusing it, abusing it. Section 28, we know that it's one of the sections that are very powerful, that can make people to encroach into your privacy. Literally, it was sort of like a breach of your privacy. This is a law or a section that allows them to just go through the things that are supposed to remain private. But they were overusing that. They were actually abusing that for them to get what they were looking for, or just for them to satisfy the goal that they wanted to achieve, which is to get to these two generals.
Section 28 does not have any checks and balances. And it can be likened to a 205, a Section 205 of the Criminal Procedure Act. It's invasive. It's exceptionally invasive. But Section 205 of the Criminal Procedure Act allows for a person to make submissions to a magistrate or a judge to explain why we are now invading this person's privacy, or we need this information. Section 28 allows unlimited control by one person without any checks or balances.
So Project Diversion, we know that it started with a Section 27 referral of Fadil Adams and those cases that he opened, the controversy regarding the dockets. And the first thing that was a red flag is that we know that the Section 27 that was shown at the Madlanga Commission is different from the Section 27 that Prosecutor Drushantha actually had. That one is the one that was on the zipper, and the one that was on the zipper was way too different from the one that we saw. It didn't have all these matters that we end up seeing right now about the PKTT, the forklift. Didn't have all of that. It just had their own investigations. They knew that they were actually going against the crime intelligence officials. But all of a sudden, that document got lost because Rapasu as well as Drushantha were actually able to go through that particular document, see what is happening, because it was supposed to be a secret document. And even one of the heads, which is the head of logistics as well as investigations, and that is Matthew Sisoko, even said that he never saw that Section 27 referral.
Oh, that is not the Section 27 that I've seen.
No,
That is, you mean that's not the one Ms. Ramsamy showed you?
That is correct, Chair.
All right.
and you note that there were material features that you don't see in this one that you saw in the one that Ms. Ramsamy shared with you.
That is correct, Chair.
If I recall correctly, in September 2025 or early October 2025, the accused persons in the Mokwele matter had made numerous requests for the Section 27 referral. I want to say that Advocate Johnson and Mr. Perumal were struggling to find the Section 27 referral affidavit and perhaps thought I had the affidavit.
And as well as their DDPP, which is Mr. Seruye, who is the Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions in the offices of the IDAC, also didn't even know that Section 27. As I said, it was supposed to be a secret document between Andrea Johnson, Perumal, some of the officials, I assume, that are in cahoots with them, as well as Prosecutor Ramsamy. Prosecutor Ramsamy, because she knew that something shady is going on, she showed Rapesu, but just like that, quickly, Advocate Andrea Johnson took that particular document. We saw that it had the forklift issue. It didn't have the forklift issue, the first one, but the one that was shown in the Madlanga Commission had the forklift issue, had all the issues of the PKTT and everything that is going on. And also finding out that one that was shown at the Madlanga Commission was created quickly after the 6th of July press brief, because they knew that after the press brief, a lot was going to happen, including the formation of this Madlanga Commission. What we see here is that now 4 things are contained in the Section 27 referral. Number 1 is the Lushaba matter, the forklift matter, the promotions, appointment and vetting of these members of the PKTT, and then the abuse of the secret fund. So those are the 4 matters that they were actually looking at. And what they did is that they then told themselves that, you know what, we are going to work with people that we're going to control. At first, the reason why they had to bring in Prosecutor Ramsamy is because they thought she's going to be controlled. But it didn't work. Actually, she was asking questions. She was starting to annoy them. And they also took another person that is sort of like a prosecutor there. And that is Hlatshwayo. They took Advocate Hlatshwayo to be on this case. And Advocate Hlatshwayo is also very young. She's a junior in this whole... she's a junior when it comes to the work of the IDAC. That is why Surunya was even shocked as to how do they take someone that is of such a junior level when this case is such a high-profile case. So already, there's a lot of red flags. Start taking juniors, and we see 2 Section 27s, and now they proceed to what? The part that is important, which is the Section 28, which then allows them to start drafting the summons so that they can start with the arrests.
Everybody's talking about this case. Generals in the police arrested, and naturally, as a leader myself in the structure, that draws me to a point of wanting to know which cases, who are handling this case, which cases, and that is what then leads me to paragraph 3, where as I'm inquiring, I'm then told that Advocate Joy Hlatshwayo, who was one of our junior state advocates, and who was at the time reporting to me, or reporting to my group, and who without belittling her or anything, she was amongst the most junior in the office. I'm told she's the one who's handling this case.
It is my belief that Advocate Johnson handpicked me to be part of this project because I had successfully, or rather we had successfully investigated another Section 27 referral matter involving a high-profile individual. I also believe that Advocate Johnson picked me because she thought that I would not question or ask questions because I'm a state advocate, not a senior state advocate, not a deputy director of public prosecutions.
Because what has been clear, even from the Section 27 referral, is that there is no prima facie case. Surunya said there was no prima facie case. Drushantha said there was no prima facie case. There was just no prima facie case. But Andrea just wanted them to push despite there not being a prima facie case. We even know that from Rapesu that they even consulted with Mr. Fadiel Adams. And Mr. Fadiel Adams still failed to provide all the necessary information because his Section 27 was very vague. And they had to consult with him further to get further information regarding this whole thing, this whole Section 27 referral, and he still gave them nothing. So there was no prima facie case, and more than 3 people at IDAC believed that there was no prima facie case. So there was no need for the Section 28(1) of the NPA Act.
It's a pity we don't have some of the emails where I keep on saying, I'm going to write a report at a later stage to the ID because I could see that this thing was started wrongly. So I'm not saying dig for something that is not there. I'm saying investigate. Digging for information is investigate. And if you find the quid pro quo, then that's your solution. That's your solution. But otherwise, there's no evidence of corruption here.
They then drafted a 28(1), which was very vague from the words of Drushantha. That the Section 28(1) was very, very vague. And the reason why they made it vague was intentional, so that they can be able to add things that are not necessary. Request things like the Lushaba bank statements and get all the things that they got against people like even Lushaba. Hence, they kept it vague. To those who don't know what is Lushaba, how is it involved? General Lushaba is one of the generals that were investigated by the IDAC. And it looks like he was some victim of a syndicate where he was drugged and as well as robbed. And this lady of the night that did whatever that he did with him was paid for her to remain silent. So now this guy is supposed to be a victim, but he ends up being the person that the IDAC is after. And he's saying that since Khumalo did not discipline him for all of that, therefore they are also going to go after Khumalo for failure to take disciplinary proceedings against Lushaba. What makes the matters worse is that everything was rushed. It was that thing of rush. Get these things done now.
Under the heading Lushaba matter, on paragraph 66, as set out above, on 8 August 2025, I was also asked to oversee the Lushaba matter, in which Advocate Ramsamy was the lead prosecutor. Having considered the docket, I was of the view that it disclosed no case. In particular, I did not understand why the complainant, General Lushaba, who on the face of the docket was the victim, had been charged. As I understood the matter, it concerned the complainant who had been drugged and robbed after encountering a sex worker, and who then found himself charged. On the material in the docket, there was nothing to sustain a charge against him, and I regarded the matter as untenable. I reported my concerns or views to the team and to the ID, as can be seen on annexures PS 11, 12, and 13.
The worrying part is that Andrea Johnson is involved in all of this. And from what we heard from Matthew Sisoko, is that Andrea was never supposed to be part of these investigations. As the ID, she was actually supposed to remain neutral. But we never saw something like that from Andrea Johnson. She failed to remain neutral. Obviously, when they saw that, okay, it looks like Drushantha is not as being controlled the way they wanted, they started wanting her to work with the Eastern Cape group, which is the group that Perumal is actually handling. They were actually grooming her, as per her words, for her to be on the other side, which is the side that they want her to be on, because she was starting to ask questions with Siruye as well as Rapesu, and they were not happy about this asking of questions. They just wanted them to do exactly what they wanted them to do.
So when I spoke about being chosen for this diversion project, in hindsight, now that I've looked at all the evidence and I've replayed conversations between myself and Advocate Johnson as well as Mr. Perumal, I am of the opinion that they were attempting to groom me into a prosecutor that would follow that line of march.
That is when we see Senzo Mchunu entering the picture. I've done an episode about Senzo Mchunu and the things that she's done and how he himself has targeted crime intelligence. I'm not going to delve deep on that. Just going to talk about some of the things that she said. So Senzo Mchunu's first role is referring the matter to the IDAC from Fadel Adams' complaint, refer it to IDAC. Secondly, Senzo Mchunu somehow plays a role in the dockets. He wants updates about the investigations and wanted the person that was in charge of the dockets at the subs to update him. So now, since the dockets are moving to IDAC, that person has to update him. From Matthew Sisoko, even heard that he wanted updates about the actual investigation. But that's the thing. He wanted updates because he was helping them. He was flying witnesses regarding the forklift case. So one of the cases where I think they were very interested was the forklift case, because they felt like it was the perfect one to actually clamp down these officers of crime intelligence. So a forklift case, it was about a service provider who got a tender for them to provide a forklift. And it just so happened that the service provider did not provide these services of the forklift. Then what happened is that the crime intelligence incurred a loss. And this forklift, they say that it was just only 200,000. But from Sisoko, we are hearing that it was thousands and thousands of rands. It was expensive, hence they had to go after them for wasteful expenditure.
Reporting back to the Minister of Police in relation to ongoing investigations where the Minister of Police is not the complainant. Because by the time you went to the meeting, you must have known that according to the presentation, Mr. Adams is the complainant. So did you not find it odd that you are now assisting the ID to report to the Minister of Police on matters that have nothing to do with him? And is that not interference in IDAC matters?
Well, commissioners, it would seem like that.
However, at the time, because I think she would have mentioned that there was a letter from the minister, then I think it was the context why she had to report to the minister. That's how I understood it.
Assuming there was a letter from the minister, do you not find it odd that the IDAC is reporting to the Minister of Police on ongoing investigations when he's not the complainant? The complainant is Mr. Adams. So why does IDAC report to the Minister of Police on ongoing investigations?
Commissioners, in retrospect, I realized that maybe I should have raised that, but I did not raise it. And maybe it should not have been the case.
And you assisted. It's not a question of just you not raising it. It's a question of you saying, actually, let me assist you. Let me get you dead on Nkabinde to show the minister that he's not the person we should be reporting through.
My view, commissioners, at the time was that based on the history that I know of Nkabinde, I was worried about that communication that goes through Mr. Nkabinde. So that is how I looked at it.
Mchunu inserts himself to the level that he even gets a witness that is going to testify about the forklift. And somehow, this witness is going to fly that particular witness to actually give the evidence or the affidavit to the IDAC, which is going to assist them with the forklift case. And they even name the evidence that is coming, the forklift evidence, as gold, that, it's perfect for their investigation. After that, we see a meeting between Andrea Johnson and Mchunu, which then leads to the investigation regarding Nkabinde, Cedric Nkabinde, who's the chief of staff for the office of the Minister of Police. And that's the thing. His investigation comes, and it's just so weird because there's no referral. Remember, IDAC mostly works with a referral. But with the case of Nkabinde, there's no referral at all. But they start investigating Nkabinde just because Andrea Johnson, during the time when she went to have a meeting with Mchunu, before Mchunu arrived, he had a conversation with Nkabinde, and he feels like Nkabinde gave him some feeling of discomfort. Therefore, wanted them to get the dirt on Nkabinde.
If she's saying to me, just met the minister now, need to put this together ASAP. Obviously, the minister is also or happy or approving that Mr. Nkabinde must be investigated, charged, and.
Well, at that stage, there's nothing suggesting that he must be charged. She's just gathering information at the time.
If I may just put it as to how I understood it in the meeting on the 22nd of January. I want something on this guy.
Meaning what in your speak?
In my head, Advocate Johnson wanted dirt on Mr. Nkabinde, and she wanted to charge him.
And that's the thing, no one referred, even the forklift person did not say anything about Nkabinde, but all of a sudden the IDAC has to start now investigating Nkabinde. Then that's when we see the blue light saga, the one that Matthew Sisoko spoke about, that the Nkabinde issue was about the blue lights. Even though it was clear that there's nothing like that. They said that there was procurement and installation of the blue lights. And even if that was the case, if you look at the IDAC manual, which was signed by both Sisoko and Andrea Johnson, that matter does not fall under the mandate of the IDAC. So how do they even deal with the blue light saga if indeed Nkabinde was involved in that? But they found something regarding Nkabinde and his links to the accused person and subs, who was a service provider. The accused person was a service provider and subs. So they felt like that is enough for them to actually start investigating Nkabinde. But that's the thing. This Nkabinde thing starts to get even dirtier because Nkabinde gets a call from Perumal and Padiachi that he's being investigated by Padiachi. Then they start putting the blame on Rapesu so that Rapesu can be seen as a person that has leaked the information so that he can be removed from that particular investigation. Actually, he can be barred from ever working with anything that will require him to work in anything that has sensitive information, because now he's not trusted, he's this person. Even though he said, check my chats, check my phone, take me to polygraph test to confirm if this is true, and they find out that all of that is not true, and the person that actually made the call was actually Perumal and Padiachi, and just wanted to plant that and actually frame him as if he's the person who did all of that situation of trying to investigate Gabin.
I then responded to the allegation indicating and denying that I leaked information to Mr. Ngabinde, and I also put a version of what had actually transpired prior to this incident happening. Just to cut it short, on my response, I indicated that the person who actually phoned Ngabinde, it was Mr. Perumal, Chief Perumal. And he instructed or maybe spoke to Ngabinde to phone the ID and make those allegations. So in my reply, basically, I'm putting it to her that she should not be looking at me. She should be looking at the people she's working with, which is Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi.
All of this is done because the minister wanted to clean up crime intelligence and SAPS. And then enters the members of parliament, which is Honorable Darlene James and Ian Cameron. Ian Cameron somehow is used as the chair of the police committee, that he's going to have Masemola to actually go at the committee and he will start asking him about crime intelligence things. Remember, Masemola was not told about what the IDAC is investigating. So they give all that information to Ian Cameron so that he can ask those questions, and then that is a trap that will then trap Masemola to start telling lies, and then they will start charging Masemola. So that first investigation that is involving Mchunu, the forklifts, everybody, is about clamping down who, specifically it was Lushaba as well as Kumal. But the biggest fish that they wanted there was Kumal. So now they are going for who? For Masemola. And they want to trap him so that he can end up in the witness box. Because it looks like the main issue or the main situation that they wanted to charge him for was in relation to the promotion of Dumisani Kumar to the divisional head or divisional commissioner of crime intelligence, and how he got the promotion without other people being considered, which means they also wanted anything that they can get, including this one of perjury that they wanted to cook up. But those are not the only people that they were investigating. We also see that they wanted to investigate Shadrach Sibia, they wanted to investigate Jacobs, the first person to have those dockets, who's the inspectorate. And it looks like their intention and their plan was to do all this investigation, get every dirt that they can get, then have one charge of racketeering against these generals. However, that was the plan of Perumal. Andrea Johnson didn't want that because her plan was that after 2 weeks, these generals have to be arrested. So now having racketeering, which means they'll have to do one investigation, then charge them once and for all. And she just didn't want that. She wanted the drama that comes with it.
Little block was determining, so Mr. Perumal wanted to lump sum everything. The vetting, the irregular appointments, into one solid, I don't even know what to call it. It's not a solid thing. It's just one file. And charge everybody in one go on racketeering. And so that was a discussion that was actually eventually settled by Advocate Johnson saying, no, it's not going to happen that way. Norway, Advocate Johnson started putting immense pressure on the team to start effecting arrests on Project Diversion. Advocate Johnson wanted matters enrolled as a matter of urgency. On the 9th of April 2025, Mr. Perumal informed me that Advocate Johnson wanted to advise us that the meeting with Ian Cameron went very well and that we have his full support and that we got his affidavit.
But that's the thing. Doing things in a hurry, it looks like you have not planned them properly. You end up coming across as if someone who's messy. That is why one moment they served Masemola with Section 28, the next moment they withdrew it because they realized that, you know what, they're still busy with the investigation. They don't have enough case for them to actually start serving Masemola with the Section 28. They were just all over the place. They didn't even know what they're doing. What is worse is that they didn't do the investigations properly. We then started hearing about the IGI report, because what you should get from this IDAC stream is that they were looking for anything and everything to actually get to these generals. Without seeing the IGI report and how the IDAC went into all lengths to make sure that they get the IGI report. I made the video about the IGI report and how the minister actually assisted in the flying of that particular IGI report. Because at first, they said the report is still being investigated. Then all of a sudden, Perumal is angry, calls the minister, and then the minister's office flies the IGI report, which they say that it's perfect for their investigation. That's what they are actually looking for them to actually conclude with their investigations. The IGI report was also investigating crime intelligence and what is going on with crime intelligence. There's a lot that happened, and I've encouraged you guys to go and watch a video that I've made about day 3 of Advocate Ramsamy's testimony. Now, I wanted us to go to day 4, where now we are moving to Project Wellness. And Project Wellness, it happened after the meeting between Andrea Johnson and Mchunu on the 22nd of January. And it looks like here, they just moved and started preparing for the Section 28.1 Affidavit before even the Section 27 Referral. They then realized that, okay, this might end up being a flawed process. They thought it would be best for them to actually get General Matlou, who's going to be the one that actually does the Section 27 referral.
Applications, and you have the report. Yes. You still don't have a Section 27 affidavit.
No. When there's cover-ups happening, timelines and rational decisions cannot be explained. So because from the timeline here, how do you explain anything? It's basically them trying to cover up, but very poorly so.
Their reliance for them to even conclude the Section 28.1. 28.1 is where you are like, okay, I have all what that I'm looking for, I'm going to prosecute. They just had that before even doing their preliminary investigation in terms of 28.13. So here we see that they just relied on a preliminary report and started saying we are going for everybody, instead of waiting for the Section 27 referral of General Matlou. And they start jumping the gun again. Go to Mike Van Wyk, make him the Section 204 witness, which is under, do the plea deals and everything. But that's the thing. How do you do that investigation? How do you start your investigation with Section 204? Because that can mislead you. It can make you think you have a case, but you don't. So you don't start with that. But all of a sudden, these people relied on all of that. J54 Masemola, it's out regarding Khumalo being the divisional commissioner, the promotion.
After the arrest of General Lushaba and 3 others, and thereafter General Khumalo and others in the Mokwele matter, we were in the process of moving officers, yet the pressure to enroll matters against General Masemola and General Khumalo did not ease. There were already draft J50 affidavits for the arrest of General Masemola and General Khumalo in respect of the appointment of General Khumalo to Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence.
That's the thing. Even with that case, there's no prima facie evidence. That's why Ramsamy came and said, there is no prima facie. We can't continue with this case. And it looked like Andrea was on their side, but clearly Andrea was not on their side, because they then continued and proceeded. Because the plan is that since Fani Masemola did not suspend the CI, which is the Crime Intelligence 7, Abu Khumalo and everybody else, therefore they are going to attack him.
We decided to prepare a prosecution memo for Advocate Johnson, setting out our analysis of the evidence. Our recommendation was that there was no prima facie case. This was not the first memo that I had prepared regarding the crime intelligence matters. Prior to the arrest of General Khumalo and others in the Mokwele matter, I had commenced drafting a memo indicating that there was no prima facie case against the accused. Unfortunately, I fell ill. I could not finalize and submit the memo. It is also for this reason that I was not aware of the enrollment of the Mokwele matter and arrests. Returning to the memo of 2 July 2025, we submitted the memo to Advocate Johnson on the same day. And to our utter surprise, she agreed with the assessment that there was no prima facie case.
And they then went to the records of Matlala, because they wanted the cell phone of Matlala. Remember when they said they think that there's certain things that were wiped out. There was, what Matlala was saying, that his phone was tampered with. They believe that something like that happened, because they didn't get what they want. What they wanted is that they wanted something that would link Vusimuzi Madlala to the child of Fani Masemola. That's what they wanted. Hence, they were so angry when they didn't get it, and they started corroborating the story of Madlala that high chances they tampered with his cell phone when it was being taken.
And at this stage, even IDAC's own Section 28(1) process had not mentioned General Masemola, nor had there been any links between Mr. Madlala and General Masemola mentioned. Back to the instructions. Advocate Johnson instructed that we must determine from Mr. Madlala's devices if there's any link to Advocate Andrew Chauke, because Advocate Johnson had received a formal referral from the NDPP, being Advocate Butoy. There was no further elaboration. I have not seen this formal referral. Advocate Johnson also said, that the snap search analysis on Mr. Madlala's devices should look for links with General Masemola's daughter.
Then we also see now Dimpane also playing a role somewhere, somehow. And it looks like her role is mostly linked to Perumal, that she has a relationship somewhere, somehow with Perumal.
Dimpane was now, it's the General Dimpane, the current acting national commissioner.
Correct.
And it is, I think it is in the form of an information note. If you can read from, she was concerned that the post.
She was concerned that the post in question was critical. It was a critical post dealing with within CI, dealing with sensitive intelligence and secret service accounts. Kumalo did not have TSC. He called, or she called in SIA. Could not get hold of her, then contacted Major General Al Govender, who indicated that the TSC is to be obtained within 6 months of appointment, if already not in possession of one.
Okay.
She signed off the info note.
Then if we can go to...
Can I just ask, was there an explanation why there would be a witness statement from the Chief Financial Officer on this HR matter? Did anyone offer an explanation why General Dimpane was invited or offered, whichever it was, to submit a statement?
This is corridor rumors Lieutenant General Dimpane, Ms. Dimpane, was friendly with Mr. Perumal, and so she was being cooperative in the investigation.
Also, another player here is Paul O'Sullivan. When we were talking about other people that played a role, it's Paul O'Sullivan. He is somehow was one of the players, and even Rapesu had to consult with him because he was very important in this particular investigation. But one of the things about this case of the Crime Intelligence 7 is that the bail conditions were really, really shady. And what is worse is that Serunye, who was also working with Hlatshwayo, they never asked questions regarding this bail condition, because they said they didn't ask for the bail condition, which barred these members from going to their offices and continuing with their work. It's not clear who actually granted this particular condition. And according to Serunye, in terms of Section 1612, the magistrate has the discretion to decide what to do. Clearly, the magistrate is the one that just decided that, you know what, I'm going to give them these bail conditions. And that is very questionable if indeed that is what the magistrate has done.
But you know it's a condition that was not sought by the state. She says to you, prepare for bail, right, for opposing the bail appeal. At that point, why do you not say, because now you're in charge, why do you not say to her, by the way, it's a condition that we did not ask for. The magistrate gave it of his own initiative. We didn't get to address him, the accused did not. And as an ethical prosecutor or prosecuting body that we are, IDAC, we cannot or we should not oppose this appeal. Why do you not do that?
Yeah. Commissioner Baloyi, there was, and this is my personal view, and there was nothing wrong with what the magistrate did. And I said the Criminal Procedure Act allows him to do what he did. Section 60, subsection 12 says the magistrate can impose any conditions which in the interest of justice would make him to come to it. So even though the state did not ask for that condition, even though we did not address him at the time, the prosecutor did not address him, he imposed the condition after listening to the exchanges. There's this thing that comes up about witnesses. We don't want to list them, but we don't want them to be interfered with. There's other investigations that are outstanding that I remember the prosecutor put on record. And having listened to that, the magistrate then gave this condition.
Even this matter of the bail conditions was sort of like urgent. There's just a lot of urgency that was coming from Andrea Johnson to actually ensure that these people, their bail conditions are not relaxed, even though they appealed and actually the bail conditions ended up being relaxed. Andrea Johnson was just there to fight it all. So that is one of the weird things. The second weird thing is that Dineo Mokwele was accused of not being qualified and not having the experience. And they also used the fact that she submitted her application late. ENCA came with receipts that she didn't submit the application late. She submitted the application on the day of the closing date. And even if they can say that day was a closing date, therefore it was late, that post was further extended. So there's no way that she was late. Number two, this person had all the experience that was needed and the qualifications for that particular post. Forget the things that were still outstanding. She had all of that, but still, Abo Sirunye and the team used that for them to actually advance their case because they knew that the docket had nothing. The charge sheet didn't have much, was not ready for the court. And they felt like those were some of the things that were a red flag. That is when we started hearing Sirunye using words like, I wish things were not the way they were because everything was just a mess. He tried to fix it, but he wishes that was not the fate of this case.
The Commission's fact-finding mission and their probing into IDAC's decision to prosecute her and, of course, Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo and others as well. So that was the picture that Mokwele took when she submitted her post on the 24th of July in 2024. And essentially what we understand from that is that she was on time. So she submitted her application on time and therefore she took a picture. There's also metadata showing her submitting that application to ensure that there isn't any query that she was late, right? But contrary to this, we know that Advocate Peter Sirunye says that metadata, which was of course presented or what has been presented before them, is that Mokwele had submitted her application late and should have been disqualified as a candidate racing for that particular post as well. But we are seeing that, right? And what even is quite concerning is that the second graphic now shows you that even if she had to argue that she was late in submitting an application, there was an extension from Lieutenant General Mkoa as well in relation to this post. So she was still on time, and therefore you cannot say that she should have been disqualified or was late. In fact, we know that from the sources who have been chatting to, Mokwele did not even receive a response in relation to her application being received. So that's where the contradiction lies. But the last graphic shows you what we heard as well from Sirunye's testimony, in which he now looks into the experience and of course the expertise of Brigadier Mokwele as well. He sort of challenged her CV and of course her curriculum, but we know that Mokwele had been overqualified for this post. In fact, she was even willing to take a pay cut as well. And from what we know is that she had also implemented robotic processes and reduced maintenance costs to save during her work or operation at BMW just about 1 million rand. So it speaks to the experience that she had in that position and of course the kind of qualities she had possessed. Now what's quite important to note here, Masego, is that the IDAC had not even went further to try and obtaining information that would form part of Mokwele's warning statement. Had they done that, one could even be discussing a different aspect right now in terms of them not having been prosecuted. So it speaks to whether was it lack of oversight or deliberate intention to push an agenda against those who were in the SAPS as well. We also know that these annexures, these files that we have obtained, were also part and parcel of Mokwele's representations before the National Directorate of Public Prosecution in an attempt to try to withdraw these charges. But yet again, it seems these were ignored. So it speaks to the amount of issues that were in IDAC, whether incompetence or whether deliberate intent to prosecute out of malice is what, of course, the commissioners are looking into.
When the heat started getting hotter, a lot of people started distancing themselves from Andrea Johnson and the IDAC. And the first one that I want to talk about is Matthew Sisoko. He started distancing himself, saying, I was excluded, but we found out that he was in Pakati inside. Emails were sent. He was fully aware of these investigations. He was fully aware of what the IDAC was actually investigating and busy with. And he was distancing himself, and that distancing is a big problem.
From all this, it appears that you were involved throughout.
That is correct.
Some emails were sent to you directly. On others, you were copied. And besides just emails being sent to you, some of these say there were requests for meetings. You yourself have said that you did attend meetings.
That is correct.
And then also and crucially, you have also accepted that you would attend to what I may loosely call logistical matters. You would personally pursue those, make requests to, let me say, people outside of IDAC, make requests, get information that was required for purposes of these investigations. So all of that paints a picture of you being fully involved. You accept that?
I accept it.
Yeah.
Secondly, we are talking about News 24. News 24 also came, and they were one of those people that were championing and protecting Andrea Johnson, giving her the platform, saying, there's nothing wrong. But all of a sudden, they start saying, yeah, literally, this lady is corrupt. They start now turning their backs on her. And not just News 24. We even see the DA, Gladys Breitenbach. Gladys was one of the people that grilled Dumisani Khumalo at the ad hoc committee. I even remember made an episode, guys, about the way Gladys was so rude at Dumisani Khumalo. But she was not ready because Dumisani Khumalo was willing to fight back. Now, all of a sudden, Gladys wants the IDAC to be disbanded.
And there can be no excuse. So once you give evidence under oath, clearly you're expected to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. More particularly when you're the head of or the investigating director of a body like IDAC. So everybody knows what the reason was for the establishment of the ad hoc committee, and to have witnesses who hold that kind of position and come to Parliament and mislead Parliament with evidence that is not correct, that's not only very disappointing, it's extremely serious, and it probably will have serious consequences.
Can I ask you this, Advocate? Based on what's publicly known, do you believe that there are sufficient grounds for Parliament to actually investigate whether it was misled or not?
Certainly, Parliament must investigate now. As a committee, we must investigate whether or not we were misled, and then, we must make decisions based on the outcome thereof. But this cannot end well.
You see, when the days are the dark, friends are the few. It proves that exact point. But this whole matter becomes even more interesting because it leads us to the question of, can we disband the IDAC? One side is saying disband. The other side is saying we need this team. We actually need this institution. We can do the cleanup, but we need this institution. The Madlanga is already suggesting that, we should disband this whole thing. But everybody's pleading, including Prosecutor Ramsamy, that there is rotten people in the IDAC, but disbanding is another thing altogether. And she believes that it's going to be an injustice to those who are actually genuinely and honestly are doing their work. But let me hear what you think about this debate regarding the disbandment.
For the want of saving the NPA and its integrity, as IDAC, it's its little baby. Team Resuscitate would then say, dismantle all the leadership as we are seeing, bring in new people with no blight on their integrity and reputation, and people who have proved themselves beyond reasonable doubt. Put them at the helm of IDAC. Let's see them work in the next 6 months, in the next 12 months, 24 months, and yield results. That's what Team Resuscitate would stand for now.
All right, Chad, where do you stand on this?
Andy and I are in agreement. Good evening, everybody. I'm definitely Team Resuscitate. I don't believe that disbanding units solves problems. I believe we need to fix problems. We saw what happened with the Scorpions being disbanded and the Hawks being established and being completely out of their depth, both in terms of budget and expertise. And of course, we also had the acting minister at a stage wanting to discuss the disbandment of crime intelligence rather than fixing it. Crime intelligence is such an important component within policing that we could never possibly discuss the disbanding of such an important unit. So when it comes to units like IDAC that have been created within the NPA, although they have a quasi-independence with their own budget now, we can't talk about disbanding. We have to talk about fixing.
Then let us get to the question regarding her life being in danger. Ever since she dropped all of these explosives, we've heard from Ian Cameroon. His response was rather worrying, in my opinion. He started attacking Ramsamy, and the attack was in relation to the fact that a prosecutor of her caliber should not be relying on hearsay. And then after that, it then moves to the level of these people were busy with my personal details. And for that, he wishes, I don't know if he will take action or he wishes to take action or what is going on.
There's not much to address. It's hearsay. She, from what I understand, is a prosecutor and should know better than to just distribute hearsay. Bring the evidence. If I need to answer, I'll gladly answer. I find it disappointing that someone can go and attempt to tarnish one's name without bringing anything to the table that is solid.
We have that. And then that to me is very worrying, because now let us look at the reply of Dimpane. Dimpane also replied to all those allegations against her and having a relationship with Perumal and also being in cahoots to try and clamp down people like Masemola and Mkhwanazi.
Commission, and we support the work of the commission. Should there come a time for us to go and answer to those allegations, we will do so. But for now, we allow the commission to do its work, and we have trust in the commission that they will do their work and they will get to the bottom of this, and we support the work of the commission.
But from where you are sitting, is there any truth to these allegations?
No.
Will you be willingly or voluntarily approaching the commission?
Should the commission call upon us to go and clarify issues, we will definitely do so.
She comes and responds, and her response to me, according to me, was so rude to the core. Her facial expression came across as defensive. This lady, if I tell you guys, she is a person that was interviewed not long ago and was told about the Madlanga Commission, the people implicated. She came across like, everybody who has been implicated, we're going to deal with them. There's no one that is going to take this lying down in. Now she's implicated.
The minister spoke about the Madlanga Commission, right? And I wanted to know, in terms of this program, what in particular was discussed, as we've seen officers of law are being mentioned at that commission and not in a flattering light manner as well.
The Madlanga Commission, as well as the ad hoc committee work, it's work that As SAPS, we are saying we welcome this work. This is the work that will assist us to indeed reform and reset this organization. You will recall that the first report was issued by the Madlanga Commission, and we are currently implementing some of the recommendations, and I'm certain that the media is seeing results. Almost every week we are hard at work to ensure that those recommendations are implemented, and we will leave no stone unturned, and we will implement those recommendations without fear or favor. Anyone who is found to have been mentioned or implicated in wrongdoing will face the might of the law in this regard. Some of the pillars within that strategy is issues of dealing with corruption. So if our members had involved themselves in corrupt activities or with cartels, we will be dealing with those members without fear or favor.
Just lastly, how will in particular public confidence be rebuilt in this regard? You're speaking about the resetting agenda, but we've seen how some of the law enforcers and senior SAPS officers have been implicated at this very same commission as well. So it speaks to the rebuilding of that trust with the public.
We have two teams that we have established. One team is looking at dealing with issues that relates to criminality by our members, obviously having engaged themselves with wrongdoing. And we also have an internal team that is dealing with issues of discipline. So we are having processes in place to expedite so that we build this trust. The quicker we deal with this ill discipline or this wrong behavior, the better we can gain trust from our communities, and also rebuilding professionalism as well as how we do our work with communities. So work is continuing, and we will not be defocused. As I indicated, we will deal with each and every member that has been found to be in the wrong or that has been implicated within this particular process that is currently unfolding.
I hope she's not going to take this lie down. She has to set an example. I think actually she's not even supposed to wait for Madlanga. She's supposed to write to the Madlanga because she came across as someone that is anti-corruption. But we are finding out that she's pakati inside the corruption. She's part of it. And why would Ramsamy just speak about her? Why would Ramsamy target her all of a sudden? And I also think that the office of the minister is also involved. Yes, he's not a minister anymore, but I wouldn't be shocked if Mchunu, someone from Mchunu, contacted Ramsamy somehow. Hence, she came and fixed and said, it's the office of the minister, not really minister. So all of this makes me wonder and be very worried about the safety of Prosecutor Ramsamy. I don't know what you guys think about the testimony, everything that has been unfolding, and the replies of these individuals that have been implicated thus far. What do you think can happen going forward or should happen going forward? But I think the life of Ramsamy is not safe. And more than anything, I have a belief that she has to be protected at all costs. They might not act now. And when I say she's not safe, I'm not talking about unaliving. Even her life being made a living hell without even unaliving can happen. We might even see her in the dark in the future. She's going to be one of the people that might be targeted, even if not now, but in the future. And after all these explosives, do you think Andrea will let her go? One thing you should learn about what is happening at the Madlanga Commission is that all these people that have been implicated, they're not afraid of continuing to do the things that they've been doing before Madlanga Commission. They have no respect whatsoever about the process that is going on. They're still interfering. They're still trying to tamper. They're still trying to convince witnesses. We know that Andrea tried to convince Ramsamy to not even appear at the Madlanga Commission.
They put me through the basis for the section 2813
on diversion.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't been watching. I've been so busy.
Yeah. Don't worry. I think they're gonna call you.
Oh God.
I'll come and tell you why. You have to figure out how you don't go.
So imagine if she can convince her to not appear while the Madlanga is still ongoing. Imagine how much is she capable of doing. So I don't know what you guys think. Let me hear your thoughts about the responses of these individuals and the testimony of Ramsamy. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you on my next upload. Bye.